Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Stephen Inks, and we are continuing our series today called I Hate This Pen, where I talk about the very small collection of pens I have that I just do not like and can't get into. And this one might be controversial because I know that this is a popular brand that's beloved in the fountain pen community, and it has a certain element to it that I personally don't like. This is the Noodlers Konrad, a demonstrator pen from the Noodlers Ink Company. I personally do like Noodlers inks. As far as the brand is concerned, just so you know, I'm not going to be talking about politics in this video. Yes, you can, but please don't get into a fight in the comments section. We are talking about the pen and the pen only. We're not talking about the ink, the brand, the personalities behind that ink and brand, and we're just talking about this particular pen. It is the Noodlers Konrad, and I dislike it very, very much. We're going to take it apart, look at it, and talk about the way that it works and doesn't work for me in this video. Check it out. All right, here's this nonsense. So where to begin? What do I dislike about this pen more? Let's see. Well, you may be wondering why I didn't clean it, and actually I did clean it. This is as clean as this pen has ever been. You can see the top part inside this this little plastic casing that goes over the top here. This is just baked in ink all the way around. Inside the body, not much better. The thing that the pen's made out of is really easy to stain. I believe it's called vegetal resin, which is a bioplastic, if I am not mistaken, so like better for the environment, so I want to give it points for that, but there's so many things wrong with just the material here. The plastic has this tacky, almost half melted feel to it, which has persisted throughout the life of the pen. You can see that it's kind of yellowed along the edges. The staining I've mentioned, not the fact that it smells like a diaper, and I've had this pen for maybe 4 or 5 years and it still smells that bad. I unfortunately also know how this pen tastes. I don't know if you're gonna see it, those little marks, those little bumps right there. I took to this blind cap with my teeth at one point because the sort of gummy nature of the pen, this blind cap stuck on the back and wouldn't come loose. I'll give them this. It's kind of stylish to have a blind cap that screws off so that you can do the twist piston. I do wish more pens did that. But that is where my compliments end on this thing. There's this little like metal thing in the middle there. What's that about? Weird, like I said, weird gummy sticky texture. I wish that I could say good things because I like the idea of using a ecologically conscious plastic, but this does nothing for me. Let's see, there's a little piece of metal around the side that says it says Noodlers Ink, even though it's a pen, and it says Noodlers Ink at the top there in the most tinfoil feeling clip that I own on any of my pens. Just very insecure. I could just bend this thing right off. The top of this comes apart, and I believe you can go clipless here if you want this pen to look even more ridiculous. So yeah, there you go. Something else you can do. All right, let's open her up and see what else I hate about this pen. going inside, you do have a piston filler. It's a demonstrator pen, which is kind of cool. You have the ebonite feed. I have said this before. I don't get ebonite feeds. I don't know why people like them. Someone's going to pop off on me in the comments about how it's because I don't understand them, or they're actually better than plastic. You know, all you have to do is whatever. What's the thing they always say? Heat set the nib. I am so sick of hearing people talk about heat setting the nib. I don't want to do it. Why doesn't the pen work immediately? We do get a little bit of the burping and leaking issues with this pen. Defenders of this particular pen, plus the Fountain Pen Revolution pens, which also have the ebonite feed and you have to heat set their nibs, they come out in droves. But you know what? You wouldn't have to defend the pen if it was nicer, if it was a better pen. So think about that for a little bit. I'm not even going to take this nib off because I think I'm going to ruin it. Now this is meant to be a flex nib, so I'm assuming when we fill it up with ink, I'll try to use it that way, but I didn't have a great experience with most flex nibs actually, not just this one, but when you push down on it, you get, I don't know if you can see, you get that split. Just see what we can get here. That split of the tines, and you can make a real mushy wide line with it. I just scratched up my sketchbook. That's permanent. We should probably fill this thing with ink because I can't think of anything else that's unkind to say about it. This is a pen, and it is a very pen-like pen that I wish it was a better pen. All right, let's fill it up with ink. So we're going to continue with the rain of inks I just am not that into. Over here, it's another diamine. This one is Sherwood Green. I got it because I needed a green. And then I picked the greenest green I could find. This was the very beginning of my fountain pen journey, I guess is the word you use. And I don't know. I guess it just was so plain Jane in the middle green that I never thought about it very much. And that's not the ink's fault because I chose it for that reason, that it was just a very stock standard green. I don't know. I'll bet some people really like this color. I don't hate it, but there are definitely other colors that I prefer before I jump into this one. The reason that this ink is so empty, and I'll show you the back, it's about halfway full, is because I was using the ink to do a demonstration when I was teaching this one, and I think the ink that I used in the last I Hate This Pen video, the blue one, we're using different colors, and I knocked this one over and spilled it while I was teaching live at my house. It was a memorable moment because I think that my students remembered it even when we came back into the real world because they thought it was really funny that I spilled. One of the students said on camera, "Oh, mister," they said to my name, "your wife is going to kill you." And I thought to myself, how does this guy know exactly what I was thinking? It was fine though, we talked it out. So this is just a little blind cap, and okay, I do have enough ink in here to fill it, which is nice. We've got that ink in there. I forgot my rag for blotting off the edge. That extra ink, so now that I've grabbed it, I'm gonna just clean off the edge. That's a pretty clean fill. It doesn't appear to be leaking or anything, so far so good. Let's play around with these. All right, so we are going to make some lines with this pen. Gonna cap it. I feel like it works well capped. Even when I put this end on here, it just feels kind of mushy, like I could just squish it on there, like it was made of, like, those sticky hands that they throw when you were a kid. You throw them against the window. They're super gross. It almost feels like it's made of that. I'm exaggerating, but it just feels kind of gummy. The texture is weird. I feel like it could get stuck on there. That is, if you recall, what happened to the blind cap here. It just got stuck. So I wonder if that could happen here too. Anyway, these are the lines that we get. We're looking at these. I can flex this nib. If you look at that, that is a very wet line. Like, that is practically a brush, how thick that is. You can get some pretty thin lines out of it if you just go off the surface, but I don't know that that's the point, is the reverse writing lines. And that does get really nice and thin, kind of impressively so. But why would you want to use a flex nib to make super thin lines? I don't know. Personally, I think flex nibs just aren't for me, particularly the steel ones. But I want to show you something. So it's been about like 30 seconds since I put this line down. Watch that. Wow. I know there are a lot of people who like wet writers, but for someone who draws, especially someone who's left-handed like me, if I'm trying to do some lines and then I put my hand over something, oh, that dried pretty well. But anything with this flex, you're going to put so much ink down that I bet you I could come back to this a minute later and it would still be wet. I also want you to point out that as I've been holding this pen, look what's happening to my fingers. It's not leaking, it's just that this ebonite feed is so ready to put ink down that if I barely touch it, and I realize that it is my fault, I am touching with my finger here, it just gets ink everywhere. So I have to be back over here. Not the end of the world, and I still think I could make a good drawing with this, but I just have to be aware of so many things when I'm doing this. I didn't do my little 3D shapes. I'll do them right now. So with all of these things, for a certain aesthetic, I think you could get a pretty attractive line on here that would match, again, with a certain style. I don't think it's my style, but it just feels like a pen that I have to be constantly aware of. I would not want to put this pen in a pencil case and drop it into a bag to run off somewhere to do some sketching in a random area, which is something that I do. I don't feel safe holding this pen. It would have to be a desk pen at all times. Not to mention, I can't get a line that I like out of this. It's very scratchy and unsteady. So I'm moving fast. I'm just kind of working with what they're giving me here and doing some sort of sketchy scribbly lines. Just so you can see, this is kind of what I would do with a pen like this. I don't find it very useful for precision. And that's one of the problems with it. It's just not a very precise or dependable pen. I know there's going to be people who love this pen and they're going to put in the comments, and feel free to put your comments. I mean, be nice. I'm being as nice as I can be. But yeah, the problems here is we've got so much variance in the line that I don't know if I can be consistent throughout. The parts that I'm doing here, they are actually drying. I do see a little bit of a smear right there, but they are drying faster than I thought they would, even considering, look what's happening to my fingers as I draw. I even got on my thumb. I did that to myself a minute ago, I remember. But even just now, I just wiped with my finger. I got a little bit of a smear, so that stayed very wet for the rest of the time. So that's kind of one of the many things that I don't like about this pen. It's got the texture the flow and the smell of a diaper. That's what I don't like about this pen. All right, let's draw. You know, I realize as we are doing this drawing right now, I drew a robot last week. So it just happened to be, because I didn't have any ideas, that I entered into a prompt generator I found online just by Googling it. And I got the prompt broken clock, and I had this fun idea that involved a robot. So I went with my gut on this. I hope you like it. Hope it's not too much of the same sort of thing. Drawing with the pen, it's still uncomfortable to hold, and I did definitely leak on my fingers a lot. You'll see, as you saw in my hands, it continued to happen. But I think the drawing that I ended up with did end up being pretty good. So even though that is something that I'm kind of happy with, I still don't enjoy using the pen. I did a little smudge test. You see that the apostrophe next to the 23, it's smudged. The rest of it was dry. So still usable, but I still hate this pen. Sorry. Hope you're not too mad at me. I know it's a very beloved pen in the fountain pen community, but for me, yeah, it just doesn't work. Final thoughts on the Noodlers Konrad. Yeah, I can't unrecommend this pen enough. I cannot get it clean. It smells and flows like a dirty diaper. And sorry for the imagery, but I just can't get that smell out of my head. The texture doesn't work for me of the pen. I really love the idea that they tried to use a bioplastic, if I am understanding correctly what vegetal resin is. But just the gummy texture, the fact that the pieces sometimes stick together, and that smell, it just turns me off to the whole pen. Beyond that, we have the ebonite feed, which is combined with the steel flex nib, leaving it to be really imprecise and just kind of mushy as far as the lines that it makes. I do have to say that I was able to get a drawing that I like out of that pen, so kudos there, but at the same time, the user experience for me was just not there. There are a lot of other pens at this price point that I would consider before investing in the Konrad. I also do feel, and this may be just a personal opinion, that that flex nibs are just not very great for drawing. I know a lot of people who do use flex nibs, especially steel flex nibs like the Konrad and other flex nibs by Noodlers and the brand Fountain Pen Revolution, which I've reviewed on this channel before. It's just not for me. I like having control over my lines. And if I want something with variability, I think that a brush pen is a much better option. So there's a lot of great brush pens out there that you could use, which requires even more control, but at the same time, you have more control at the end. So those are my thoughts on the Noodlers Konrad. I would recommend that you look somewhere else if you're looking for something to scratch that itch of like a demonstrator piston filling fountain pen. But you may have a differing opinion, and I'd love to hear it in the comments. Please be kind to each other. We all have things we like and things we don't like. This happens to be a thing that I don't like. But I do like you, my community. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to like and subscribe to this video if you want to hear about more things I don't like. And coming up, we have a few things that I do like on this channel. And what I do love is drawing and making things with fountain pens for you guys. I appreciate you. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.